So you're packing up for a camping trip and you don't want to forget any essential gear. Well, you've come to the right place because today I'll be sharing my 3 pieces of camping gear that I never leave home without. Whether it's a multi-day trip to the BC backcountry or a shorter trip at a reserve campsite, I will always have these 3 pieces of gear in every season, from our summer beach camps to our freezing cold snow camping. So stick around and see exactly what we're working with. And well, the first piece of gear is a little bit of a strange one. It is this ultralight camping chair. I recently forgot it on one of my adventures, and it made me realize how important having something like this is on all my adventures. And while it isn't even a full-size chair, and I actually do grab a little bit of slack for that, it is the perfect chair for all of my adventures. And actually, being a smaller chair, it does have its advantages and kind of the reason why I went with it in the first place. Being so low to the ground, it protects you from the wind. You can kind of duck behind the car if you're in a little bit of a windy spot when you're sitting by the fire. And speaking of the fire, it actually lets you sit a little bit lower and closer to the fire than you would in a traditional bigger chair. I know these are actually technically a backpacking chair, but for something like the Forester where space is super valuable and something that I still can use very comfortably, this is a perfect option. And like I mentioned, I recently forgot the chair on one of my adventures, and it made me realize how limited you are for seating when you don't have something like this to sit in. Sure, you can go ahead and sit in the car, but then you're kind of not enjoying the view or enjoying the nature. And then, well, you can sit back here like I am, but it isn't as comfortable. And you gotta hope that it's not gonna be covered in dirt, mud, dust, or anything that's gonna get your clothes dirty. So when you go up in your tent or sit in your car, you're getting everything else dirty. And that really leaves you with one sort of option, some sort of chair. And well, you can get bigger chairs, as I said, they just don't fit in the Forester. And you actually do get some benefits with these low profile chairs. So that's why this chair will have a permanent spot in the Forester for all my camping adventures. The second piece of gear is something that I didn't have for a long time because I didn't think I needed it. But when I got it, it was an absolute game changer. A headlamp. Back in the day when I was camping, when I was little, I just used a flashlight and I thought that was a good option until I went ahead and purchased my first headlamp, which after getting it, I went ahead and purchased a few more. I think this is my 2nd or 3rd headlamp because once you have a headlamp, you'll never go back to using a normal flashlight. The convenience of having the light on your head is absolutely massive. Not only does the light follow you depending on where you're gonna look, but it frees up your hands to do other things like cooking, taking photos, recording video, or even making repairs and stuff like that. But the convenience factor is only a part of the reason why I went with a headlamp. Nowadays, they have a ton of different features that makes it way easier to use in the backcountry. This includes things like different lighting modes for spot, as well as an area light, and different color modes that I particularly like as the night goes on, turning it onto the red light mode. That helps me preserve my night vision not only for astrophotography, but just for looking around. So now, no matter what, I will always have a headlamp ready and accessible for every one of my camping trips. And finally, for the 3rd piece of gear that I never leave home without, you might have spotted on me during our adventures. It's this camping knife. When you're camping, it's always good to have a knife on you, particularly one that is reasonably sharp. And while this knife isn't really a fancy one, it does exactly what I need it to do. It is made for the outdoors and is as rugged as they come, with a standard fixed but very sharp blade and a nice ergonomic handle. There really is 1,001 uses for a knife on your camping trips. From food prep to whittling wood, to cutting cables and rope, to even preparing kindling to light your fire. A knife is critical to every outdoor adventure. And that's why this knife never leaves my side, literally, on our camping adventures, as it has a nice sheath that I can go ahead and clip on my belt. And there we go. We have my 3 must-have items for every camping trip. Let me know down below what you thought of my list and if I forgot anything. And while you're down there, don't forget to go ahead and check out Flat 4 Off-Road for all your Subaru needs here in Canada. And don't forget to go ahead and check out the channel memberships as we release some new exclusive perks for some of the higher tiered members. And with that being said, I will see you in our next adventure where we go camping.